Thank you for joining us for The Drive Back, the movie podcast where we imitate our favorite thing to do after a movie, which of course is to talk about it on the ride home. I'm Garrett, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Adrian.
Hey, how's it going?
And today we've got we've got a phone a friend. This is the second phone a friend we've ever done. What is a phone a friend?
Phone a friend is where, we just watch so many movies here on the podcast. Phone a friend is a way for us to take recommendations from friends of movies that are current, older, whatever, that you have it, something they've seen that they want us to watch, and kind of shuffle it into the cycle a little faster than the current backlog of films that we have. So this is suggested by a friend. Garrett, I believe this is from one of your good friends.
Yes, this is from Matt. So shout
Well,
out
thanks,
to
Matt.
Matt. That is absolutely right. So today we're going to be taking a look at his favorite film of all time, which is Driving Miss Daisy. So all of this and more coming up on the drive back. Alrighty, and we're back with this time's Phone a Friend. We're watching Driving Miss Daisy. I had heard of this movie. I had heard of the play that it is based upon. What kind of knowledge did you have going in, Adrian? Because I think this is both of our first time watching it.
I think I had tangentially heard of this film. I didn't know that it was a play. I didn't know who was in it. I think I just heard it talked about. Probably mostly like on Family Guy as a joke or something, like some butt of some kind of reference or something. But that was it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, same here. Obviously, film history, I had heard more about it, and obviously from the performance standpoint, which we'll get into, but let's go ahead and dive right in. So, released in 1989, Driving Miss Daisy was directed by Bruce Beresford and stars Morgan Freeman, Jessica Tandy, and Dan Aykroyd. An old Jewish woman and her African-American chauffeur in the American South have a relationship that grows and improves over the years. It won 4 Oscars for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Makeup, Best Actress for Jessica Tandy, and Best Picture. It was also nominated for 5 more, including Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, Best Costume Design, Best Supporting Actor for Dan Aykroyd, and Best Actor for Morgan Freeman. So, this is the first time in a while we've had a film that is recognized by the Academy. Besides
Yeah.
Avatar, I would say Avatar was also recognized by the Academy, but this one has more wins than
I
Avatar
would
did.
agree. It also probably has more. That's actually maybe not, but more staying power, I guess. Like I feel like it's been around longer, obviously based off release date, and it's stayed relevant for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think it's something that's still brought up because obviously the play is still popular. Everything the people still know of the name. So, but let's go ahead and let's dive right in. So again, this is both of our first time watching this. Adrian, after your first time watching, what did you think?
I totally get all the awards. I think everybody acts in this movie really, really well. I think the kind of period that they set it in is pretty accurate from what I know of it. I'm not like a huge scholar or anything, but it felt pretty real. The dialogue was pretty good at times. But overall, I guess I'll probably have to defend this, it sounds like, but I thought this movie was incredibly boring.
Okay.
I think it definitely has all those things going for it that it won awards for, but I just think the pacing of this movie and maybe just I think I get what they were trying to do, but I think other films have done this message a lot better than Driving Miss Daisy did.
Interesting. Did you see the movie Green Book,
No.
which also won Best Picture? I guess it's a similar kind of
Oh,
story,
concept.
except it's turned around. So the person who's more like, Miss Daisy is not like, she says several times throughout the film, she's not like biased or like racist or anything like that. She's just not a very nice person.
Yeah.
But like it's flipped. So the driver is that person in the Green Book, whereas the person he's chauffeuring is someone who's black. So it's kind of like in the same time period, same era. So really, really interesting kind of connection there. Like you're saying, though, I agree with the awards. I think this movie had everything going for it. I think the performances are some of the best we've seen on the channel, on the show in a while. Specifically, the fact that Morgan Freeman didn't get anything is kind of disheartening because He put his all into this movie. Probably the best I've seen him since Shawshank, for sure.
Yeah, I think he did great, and I think he really played into his character well. One tidbit that I did find really funny throughout the movie was this is definitely like a period timepiece, obviously. So one of the things Morgan Freeman says a lot is like, "Now get out of here with that," kind of thing. But it gets progressively crazier throughout the movie. That by the end, a literal line from the movie is like, "Now you go ahead and run on out of this town with that." Like it just gets so like every time he says it, it's kind of like a little bit further away. Like now you run down the street with that, and then it's like now you go around the corner with that, and then
Now you immigrate with that.
yeah, like it literally just kept going further and further to the point where he was literally like, now you run out of town, and I was just like, dang, what's the next one to get off this planet with that? And it's not like that crazy. It's literally like Dan Aykroyd being like, my mom's doing okay. And he'd be like, now you get out of here. Like, it just felt a little crazy at times.
The next time your parents say anything like that, be like, you go on, run down the street with that. I mean, come on.
It was really funny. But again, I feel very accurate. And I really liked the dialogue between all the caretakers of the property.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was all really, really interesting to me.
Yeah, the dialogue is incredibly well written, but I believe it's also because the movie's script was written by the person who did the play, who wrote the original play.
So there you go. Yeah.
So he has the best understanding of it, and can expand upon it. I do disagree. I don't think this movie is entirely boring. I think the first act is a little slow to get started, definitely. But especially like when, and we're going to spoil the movie. So we should probably drop a spoiler
Old
alert.
enough. Yeah. Spoiler warning.
I mean, you can tell from the even like the nature of the movie what happens in it. But like when Morgan Freeman's character not steals, but he eats the can of salmon.
Yeah.
And then he brings it back the next day, like he brings a new one. Like from that moment on is when it really picked up for me. Like. And I had my attention like completely drawn to the screen from that point on because I was seeing their friendship grow was the driving force of this movie. It's why you watch it. So that kept me hooked.
Yeah, I think it just felt again. I feel like there's movies that have done it better. Like one that immediately comes to mind is Brian's Song, the football film about and I might get this wrong, but it's like one of the first black players to play for an NFL team, and the guy that he bunks with is pretty accepting. Brian's Song is pretty accepting, but the whole world isn't about like him playing and stuff, and it's kind of that friendship, right, throughout growing, throughout being kind of forced to room together and stuff like that. And I felt like it was just real slow, and maybe it was just her pacing of friendship. Like, I felt like Morgan Freeman definitely was always the friendly guy from the very get-go. Like, totally unabashed. Like, let's be friends. And I felt like she just stayed reserved for maybe way too long. Like, for clearly what was happening in the film, I felt she was still too reserved at times for how much they talked. Obviously, daily almost. And it's like you're still not willing to talk to this guy. Just some of that was a little weird to me.
Gotcha. The one thing I would actually kind of add to that, maybe I don't necessarily disagree with, but what I would say is that I feel that the instances where they start to like where especially Jessica Tandy's character Miss Daisy starts to grow more attached to him could have been fleshed out a little bit. I feel like they do jump forward quite a bit, and it's indeterminable amounts of time that
but
pass.
It's also quick. Like they just jump quickly.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, this movie is like what, an hour 40, an hour 48. Yeah. Perfect time for this kind of movie. Like it could have been a lot longer and it could have been like way worse.
Fine, yeah.
But I would say like maybe shorten that first act, less time getting us to Morgan Freeman or his character.
Yeah.
Or Hoke is his name, Hoke. There we go. Which I kept hearing as Hulk because apparently I'm a, Marvel fan. But like shorten the time span getting to him and Miss Daisy together because and spend more time showing how that friendship grows. They do a really good moment of that in the graveyard. Yeah. Where she starts like to smile and then she has to hide the smile when he starts walking back. So like Like the moments like those are fantastic. I wish there were more of those without like jumping through the years.
Yeah, and then there's that, and that's what I think maybe I'm talking about where it feels too spaced out. That like some
Mm-hmm.
of the stuff I felt could have grown in the same timeline or in the same period of time, whereas they jumped. Yeah, like one of the jumps was at least like 15 years.
It was
It
pretty
seemed
long.
like. Yeah, there was one that was huge, and I didn't feel like there was a lot of growth between them during that period. So to me, it felt more like maybe the movie was just showing these big friendship moments that really changed things, but it didn't feel good to me.
Like super noteworthy, I guess.
Yeah, like, but it's almost too noteworthy where it's like, okay, now we're here. What happened the last 15 years? Did you just not talk? Like, what happened? So that kind
Yeah.
of threw it off for me.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about. We should probably bring back our little segment: favorite moment, least favorite moment. Because I gotta talk about my favorite moment for this movie. That I got the tears welling a little bit. I could feel that little like the quivering right underneath here, underneath your eyes. And that's the moment when Daisy is having like the Alzheimer's
We're
episode.
seeing the teacher again.
Yeah, but like so that, but then also when he's helping to like talk her down and sits her down, and then she grabs his hand and says that you are my best friend.
Yeah,
That moment is just, oh boy.
yeah, it was okay.
Oh wow, alrighty.
I
I
just
guess
I felt like all the stuff just that really didn't feel. I mean, again, that was acted incredibly. Both it felt real and stuff. It just didn't feel important. I don't know. Maybe it was just the way that I watched it. I don't know.
maybe would you say that it wasn't earned?
That's kind of what I'm. Yeah, I feel like it didn't really feel like maybe that was too quick of a jump in the other direction, right? She was so
Yeah.
reserved for so long, and then suddenly it's like she let this thing slip, which I get was supposed to be like she said it because she's not herself, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like suddenly you're full swing the other way. Like to me, she equally that was such a big statement that she could have also said like I trust you with my life, and it just didn't feel like she was really there in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of was like, oh, okay, like I don't, okay, yeah, I kind of get that. I get that's where the movie is supposed to take me, but I don't feel like I'm here yet.
Gotcha. I can see that. And I sort of agree, and I kind of sort of disagree as well. I feel like that at that point you do kind of get more gradual increases in their friendship. The drive to Alabama was a big one too.
Luther King.
Yeah, exactly. The Martin Luther King moment. So, but yeah, I mean, we've talked about the performances in this movie. The performances are fantastic across the board. It's really nice to see Dan Aykroyd not really doing that comedic of a role.
No,
Like,
I think he was more the butt of a lot of the jokes in this and didn't get to play along.
yeah, and it's like as someone who's grown up seeing him in Ghostbusters, like this is quite a radical departure in
Yeah,
terms of
no, very,
tone.
very different. A thing
But
I also really, really liked about the movie was seeing the business side from Dan Aykroyd's side of it. Like all the stuff that he was doing and just seeing like the loom factory in the
mhm.
beginning when they're walking through stuff like that, the period accurate stuff was really fascinating to watch to me. I kind of wish it would have lived a little more in the world instead of just in the car. And I get it's driving Miss Daisy, it all happens because of the drive. But I wish we could have gotten to see a little more of that world view of what was going on.
Yeah, and do remember it's based off of a play where the entire purpose of the play is them in the car together. So it is kind of
Man, see, I
expanded
don't
upon.
want to see that. See, that doesn't sound good.
Well, see, that's a performance piece, though. So you're watching it to see the performance of the actors, and
That almost sounds
specifically
like that movie where they just have dinner together for the whole
My
movie.
Dinner with Andre,
Yeah, it kind of sounds like that.
considered
Where you're,
one of the better dialogue movies of all
but
time.
I'm not knocking that one, but it sounds like that type of experience of like you're literally just sitting there watching them for the performance aspect of it.
Yeah, which I know there was a recent performance of it that had James Earl Jones playing Hoke, and I forget who was playing Miss
Interesting.
Daisy, and I would love to watch that, or at least clips from that. I don't know
Yeah,
about
pretty interesting.
an entire thing, but I would like to honestly, maybe because we just got Green Book, this wouldn't happen, but I would love to see a retelling of this that's a little, maybe a little bit more expanded. It shows a little bit more of the world and kind of like the social or like cultural differences and
You
faux
could do
pas.
it today.
You could.
I think all those things in this movie still are relevant today. And
Yeah.
I think you can absolutely still do a modern day telling of this film and have a little bit more of things that speed it up, right? Like social media. You could have stuff in the movie that these story beats that aren't so far apart, that I think might drive the movie a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I could see it taking place in any time period, really.
Yeah.
So,
Fortunate because there's a lot of racism and anti-Semitic stuff, but it does feel like it could take place at any time.
yeah, which is unfortunate to say that it could take place today for those reasons,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
you know, it is we gotta work. We gotta be the change we want to see, Adrian.
We ought to be the Hoke we wish to be.
That oof, hope
Uh,
never dies. You know what I'm saying? Instead of hope.
Smash.
What?
Oak smash.
Hope smash all expectations. That's all we wanted to see. Morgan Freeman is Bruce Banner. Can we get that before
Yep, you
before he
heard it here
goes?
first. Let's do it.
Exclusive for Doctor Strange 2. But anything else you want to add for this movie? I mean, there's not like a whole lot to talk about besides performances, and again, that's the reason why this movie is the way that it is. The story is very relatable, but it's very common. But
And
again,
I can see why this is someone's favorite movie. I absolutely get it. I can definitely see this. I didn't have that nostalgia piece that they may have. Like I can totally see you watching this when you're younger and it just being that staple comfort film that feels good about two people becoming friends. 100%. I could see that. Just wasn't for me.
gotcha. Well, let's go ahead and I guess we'll transition into some final thoughts and scores. So, does that count as your final thought, or do you got a final thought?
I guess I just thought of something which I thought might be funny. I was gonna say, so this is Driving Miss Daisy, but I think for me it was Daisy Driving Miss. It just didn't land home for me.
Ooh, ooh, okay. So, given that, what was your score?
52.
52. Wow. Okay.
Performances were great. Just the pacing of this film, I won't watch it again. I just know that. I'm just not. It wasn't for me.
It falls in the category glad I watched it, but wouldn't
Totally.
watch it again.
And I
Sure.
probably this is a tough recommend as well. I feel like that factors into my personal scoring. Like I feel like this is a very if I'm gonna recommend this to you to watch on a Friday night, check me. Make sure that make sure that I'm feeling okay.
Definitely not a Friday night movie. Maybe like a Monday or a Tuesday night. I don't know. But as far as my final thoughts, I said with its incredible performances, its heartwarming story, and its incredible chemistry between its leads, I thought that Driving Miss Daisy is not only a great film, but an important one in our current climate, and probably one of our biggest score differentials in a long time. I gave the film a 90.
No,
I really enjoyed this. The last two acts of this movie. I do definitely think that it could have shortened the first act, letting us get to Hoke and Daisy together, but then really shown us more examples of how that friendship naturally grew.
I think my score easily could shift to the 80s or 90s if they did that. I think if they showed us more of that incremental progress and it was more engaging to me, I could easily see this movie being up there for me.
We really should have reviewed this back to back with Green Book because it would be very interesting to see what we thought of each one.
That would be interesting.
It would be really cool if that became an episode. Wink, wink.
Well, I guess we could re-review this one or just say like if you want our review of the other one, listen to this one.
True. I was hinting at the fact that we have new episodes coming after episode 100. So,
There you
teaser.
Teaser.
But that's going to bring us to an end for this episode. Adrian, if people are getting lost on their way to Alabama and can't find us online, there's no way to make that work.
I was wondering where you were gonna go. You got lost on the way to Alabama yourself.
Exactly. Oh man, I would never go there in the first place. Sorry, Alabamans. But
And this movie's still relevant today, folks. You heard it here first.
But-
Yikes.
I don't know why the ire is drawn at Alabama. It's really Texas and Florida that suck right now. So,
True, that's very, very true.
but where can people find us online?
The Drive Back Podcast, if you are listening to us and you're on your podcasting app, you can give us a follow. We post every Monday. If you're watching us and we can see you, you are on YouTube and you're already here. So go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We post every Monday, but on YouTube specifically, we usually like to do a little bit of extra content, whether that's we go to a midnight premiere and we have time to record an extra episode, or something like if we see Spider-Man and it's the biggest movie and we just want to get that review out right away, that'll live on YouTube exclusively. So you can go ahead and watch us there. And then just on social media, if you want to chat, we're at the Drive Back Podcast on Instagram, and we would love to see your beautiful faces come by. So come on over.
Come on.
Actually, you know what? Get on out of town with that.
Don't tell them to leave. We need as many people as possible watching us. The only thing we didn't do a review for the Batman, which is one of the biggest films of this year, arguably.
Yeah.
But there is a review on my blog, which is linked below, so you can check that out. So as far as next week goes, next week is going to be a show and tell. Adrian has selected the Jim Carrey vehicle, the number 23.
Ooh.
Which I have not seen. There's no vehicles in the movie, as far as I know, being the main point of it. But for my pick, the vehicles are the main focus, because we're watching the classic car chase film Bullet, which I'm super excited to share with you.
I'm stoked too. I haven't seen it.
But those are going to be coming up next week, and then we're getting close to 100 real quick here, bud. I think we're about 2 months away right now. At the time of recording this, we're 2 months away from our 100th episode.
We're thinking about planning something special. We don't have all the details nailed out yet, but we'll make sure to have some kind of celebratory episode.
It'd be really cool to do like a Q&A thing. So if anyone has any questions or anything they want to pose for us, send them in. Instagram, comment on the video.
Sure.
Anywhere that
works. Yeah, comment wherever.
Exactly, or you can message one of us. We love having attention. That's going to be the end of this episode, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We love you guys so much. Again, all support and love going to Ukraine right now. We will see you guys next time on The Drive Back. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Drive Back. Make sure to be on the lookout for new episodes every Monday, and make sure to follow us on social media.